This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, and I'm responding to another AskProfWolff question sent in by a member of our Patreon community. And in this case, the question comes from Terry Stern. Terry asks a question about Milton Friedman, the now deceased but quite famous professor of economics at the University of Chicago for many years, founder of what came to be called the Chicago School of Extremely Conservative Economics. I'm being as polite as I know how to be. And Terry's question refers to Milton Friedman's famous comment that corporations not only have no morality, but shouldn't be expected to have any morality, that morality resides in the individuals who run a corporation, but not in the corporation itself. If you have a problem with what corporations do, then you presumably have a problem with people who run the corporation having inappropriate, inadequate, or downright perverse morals. I don't want to take this all that seriously because I know what Milton Friedman's work was about. He wanted a private capitalist system. He wanted the government to play the minimum possible role and everything else be left to private capitalist enterprises. And he wanted to protect private capitalist enterprises, not only from the government, but from any popular expectations that they should behave in this way or that way. Their job, he said, was to make money, to be profitable. Because in capitalism, Milton Friedman believed, if every person pursues his or her own profit, the end result will be the best possible world for all of us. Now, to my untutored ears, this sounds like a justification for rampant selfishness. It is a wonderful thing to be able to believe that if I ignore the impact of my actions on everybody else, that if I ignore whatever the community I live in needs, but pursue my own advantage, my own personal gain, it will all work out for the best. Sure it will. But let me respond to the seriousness of Terry's question, because the question deserves a serious answer. Let's begin with individuals and their morals or their ethics. Where do the morals and ethics come from? To listen to Milton Friedman, you might imagine that they are innate, that literally you are born a good person or not. You're born with original virtue or possibly original sin. You are not, in any case, shaped by the institutions into which your life pushes you. What institutions do I mean? Well, let me give you a short list. You are born into, as an infant, a family. You are inserted, usually as an infant, into some church or synagogue or mosque. You are inserted into, sooner or later, a school, a whole series of schools. And finally, you are inserted, when you're an adult, into a workplace, a job. Now, you can either believe that none of those institutions shapes your morals, or you can believe, as I do, that all of those institutions play important roles in shaping your moral values, your sense of yourself, your relationships with other people. I happen to believe that your job and the organization of your job has an enormous impact on your values, your beliefs, your politics, you as a human being. So I disagree with Milton Friedman. How you set up a corporation will, in fact, shape all the people in it, at least as much as the other way around. Do you have in you all kinds of morals and values that shape the corporation? Yes, but it goes both ways. You shape the corporation, and you are shaped by the corporation. You shape the family you live in, and it shapes you. The church you attend, and it shapes you. You get the picture. Milton Friedman didn't want to see, didn't want to admit, could not theorize the back and forth. He wanted it one way, from the individual to the institution, never the other way around. That's typical of conservatives. But I'm not a conservative, as you've probably noticed. So let me finish by telling you some of the ways that a corporation's morality affects the individual. In a typical capitalist corporation, a tiny group of people sitting at the top, the owner of the company, the board of directors, the major shareholders. These are people who number, if you put them all together, 20, 25, maybe 30 at the outside. Then the corporation has all these employees. They can number in the tens, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands when you get to a big American corporation these days. All the key decisions of the enterprise, what to produce, how to produce, where to produce, and what to do with the profits that all have helped to create. The decisions about all of that are made by the tiny group at the top. The vast majority of employees are excluded from the decisions of what that corporation does. They're excluded from the decisions that may mean the company leaves and relocates to China. They are excluded from decisions that the company's leaders make that use a technology that can be bad for your ears, or your air, or your water. They can make decisions to use the profits to make the folks at the top very rich and to make your salary very poor. Crucial aspects of your life are shaped in that company where you work and by how that company is organized. The typical capitalist corporation, for example, is deeply and systematically anti-democratic. It does not allow the mass of people affected by the decisions of how to run that corporation, it denies them the participation in making those decisions. Modern corporations shape individuals to accept the absence of democracy in the workplace 5 days out of every 7, all the best years of their adult life. No wonder democracy is weaker, say, in the United States than many of us would wish. Why are we surprised? The corporation is set up in an undemocratic way, and that shapes the morals, the values, and the politics of the people in it. Mr. Friedman didn't want to see it, but all of us have no choice but to see it. This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, thanking our Patreon community for their interest and their support.